This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. 12-year-old boy among 6 shot at a party in Manchester. A 12-year-old boy was among 6 people who were shot and injured by unknown assailants in Grove Place, Manchester last night. The boy was shot in the left leg. The shootings, which took place at 8:45 p.m., occurred at an illegal party that was being held in the community. The motive for the attack is still unknown, the Corporate Communications Unit of the Jamaica Constabulary Force told the news on Saturday, saying investigations are ongoing. One person who was reported to be in a serious condition is currently being treated for multiple bullet wounds to the chest. The gunshot victims have been admitted to a hospital and receiving treatment. 10 crashes and 10 deaths in 1 week. Despite the appeal of the Road Safety Unit for motorists to slow down and give the gift of safety during the festive season, 4 more fatal crashes on Thursday have pushed the number of people killed in motor vehicle collisions since the start of the year to 450. This is 17 more than the 433 people who perished on the nation's roads in 2020. Up to Thursday, there had been 403 fatal crashes, with several having multiple fatalities. According to the latest statistics from the RSU, which is located in the Ministry of Transport, there were 10 fatal crashes and 10 deaths during the 7-day period from December 11 to 17. The victims' ages range from 19 to 74, and they included 9 males and 1 female. Since the start of the year, fatal crashes and fatalities have both increased by 9% when compared with the similar period in 2020. Despite this, the RSU is projecting that fatalities will decrease by 3% this year. So far, males account for 88% of road users killed. Females make up the remaining 12%. At 33% of all fatalities recorded so far this year, motorcyclists have again emerged as being among the most endangered road users in Jamaica. Pedestrians and motor vehicle drivers account for 20% and 19% of all road deaths respectively. Over 1.1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines are now available. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton says that with over 1.1 million doses of combined COVID vaccines available in Jamaica, there are no excuses for individuals not to get vaccinated. The minister, who was speaking at a virtual press conference on Wednesday, said that having the population fully vaccinated is even more important now that the feared Omicron variant looms as a clear and a present danger to the island. We really do not have any excuses not to get vaccinated. We have the inventory, we have the brands, and we have over 250 vaccination sites island-wide to deliver, whether private sites or public sites. We have a vaccination site within 5 miles of your average community in Jamaica, Dr. Tufton said. I really want to take the opportunity to encourage Jamaicans to go out and get their shots to protect themselves. According to a release, the government has received an additional 200,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine from the United States as a gift, part of the over 600,000 that had been promised. Dr. Tufton also disclosed that in addition to just the 400,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine, a further breakdown shows that Jamaica also has 386,000 doses of the AstraZeneca, 130,635 of the Johnson & Johnson, and 198,470 of the Sinopharm. I can't emphasize the point enough that vaccine availability is not the issue. If we were to utilize this quantity to apply the dosage that is necessary, the full initial dose barring the booster shots, we could inoculate some 625,000 Jamaicans, he shared. It means that we have no complaints, and the concern now is to get rid of the vaccine in the proper way and the way we would like that we have now in inventory. Dr. Tufton went on to advise that it is now more than likely that the much talked about Omicron variant will inevitably hit Jamaica, probably sometime in the new year, and cautioned individuals not to drop their guard but to continue to follow the best practices in combating what some have described as the worst pandemic known to man. We do anticipate that at some point the Omicron variant will hit Jamaica. We do believe that it's a matter of time. From every indication, it's highly contagious, but there are also some encouraging signs that it might not be as lethal as originally thought. In the meantime, we are continuing with our testing, which so far has not seen where the variant is yet on the island. Dr. Tufton, however, noted that the government is encouraged that the daily COVID numbers have been trending down, noting that frontline workers and health officials must be given kudos for staying the course and for putting themselves on the line in keeping the country safe. Prime Minister Foundation gives to hospital. As Jamaica gears up for a fourth wave of the coronavirus, Prime Minister Andrew Holness donated 90 new medical oxygen concentrators valued at approximately US $25,000, which will more rapidly assist the persons who become infected and are admitted with mild symptoms. 3 of the machines, which were donated through his Positive Jamaica Foundation, were handed over to the Bustamante Hospital for Children on Thursday. 2 persons can be treated through each machine at the same time. These medical oxygen concentrators is not a full solution to the problem, but you need high-flow oxygen for patients who have serious breathing distress, but these machines will help to save the moderately ill and reserve high-flow oxygen for those children severely ill, Holness said. He added, in anticipation of a fourth wave, we would be in a far better position in terms of increasing supply and putting in redundancies, and a part of the redundancy strategy is to have machines like these. Holness said the government had plans in place for oxygen in the last spike, but the supplier on which it was relying decided that it had to meet local demands. That was a lesson that I learned, and we have to ensure that we have enough capacity, enough resources, enough redundancies in our systems, that when these unplanned, unexpected events happen at the magnitude that they do oftentimes, that we are able to respond, Holness said. Sometimes we have to appreciate that nobody owes us any special favor, and as an independent country, we have to stand on our 2 feet and treat with our problems. He also thanked Jamaica's ambassador to the United States, Audrey Marks, for her efforts. There was also commendation for hospitals overseas that assisted Holness with acquiring the equipment. These machines will be available in some hospitals, which the Ministry of Health and Wellness has not yet disclosed. The ministry is also in the process of acquiring close to 100 oxygen concentrators for the island. UHWI gets $144 million from government for construction of new medical building. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton yesterday handed over $144 million to the University Hospital of the West Indies towards the construction of a 6-story medical facility. The facility will offer a wide range of services including MRI and CT scanning, cardiology and urology. It will also be housed with a robotic prostatectomy machine and a neonatal intensive care unit. Now that the UHWI has received the funds, the hospital is preparing to break ground for the construction of the building. The project is to cost approximately $238 million. Tufton said the funds handed over by the government will assist in covering the cost for the design of the building. We are hoping that these designs will be completed during the early part of the next financial year, recognizing that the financial year starts in March, Tufton said. For his part, Dr. Carl Bruce, Medical Chief of Staff at UHWI, said the new building will be the most modern healthcare facility in the region. Favour defends ministry as a principal slams poor leadership. Education Minister Favour Williams yesterday rubbished the comments made by William Knibb Memorial High School Principal Linvern Wright, which characterized her stewardship of the portfolio as poor, declaring that she and her team have done a commendable job despite the ongoing pandemic. I'd love for him to state the specifics that he is not satisfied with, but I know that when I look back at the efforts of the Education Ministry, they are commendable, Williams said during an interview with the news following the handover of a $20 million check from the Universal Service Fund to the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica. The funding is to support the creation of a second educational channel dedicated to delivering programming to Jamaicans on a 24-hour basis. Williams, who took the reins of the portfolio in September last year, said Herculean efforts have been made to keep students on track following the suspension of face-to-face classes in favor of online modality. The minister said in addition to efforts made to acquire and distribute laptops and tablets to teachers and to students, lessons were broadcast on television and radio to minimize the disruption that would have ensued after Jamaica confirmed its first COVID-19 case in March last year. Yes, there have been hurdles. It hasn't been perfect, but we worked with what we had and we did, in my estimation, an excellent job of keeping our education system going despite the pandemic in which we have had to live, said Williams. Wright, the president of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, gave the Andrew Holness administration a failing grade for what he said was its failure to properly manage the education sector. Our Ministry of Education is the worst I have seen it, and we must not be afraid to call it out in the interest of our country, said Wright in a post on Facebook. It is mired in corruption, poor leadership, mindless policies, and a deaf top tier. Education is on a slippery slope. Wright said the leadership of the ministry has reached crisis proportions and had become equally distressing. The JAP's head said it was time to challenge the leadership of the ministry, who continue to be impressed with themselves, while many who know better are aghast at the inept and jaundiced leadership weighing down the education ministry. Wright said also that there has been a disconnect among principals and the ministry personnel, pointing to the Sixth Form Pathways program, which he argued is moot. He labeled as jokes ideas such as the twinning of schools and the Sixth Form Pathways program, which are mooted and mindlessly recited to principals. He said that he was hoping that the recommendations from the Professor Orlando Patterson chaired Jamaica Education Transformation Commission, which are being examined by the Cabinet, will bring forth initiatives of real change for the nation's children. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.